Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Jordan Hayes. I'm 43 years old, a heavy boot, hard hat-wearing construction foreman who spent the last 20 years hauling steel, reading blueprints, and building a future I thought was solid. Solid like the foundation I poured into the house I shared with my wife, Naomi. We lived in Tampa. Naomi worked from home, bookkeeping for a few local businesses. She was always handling the finances, while I handled everything else. It worked, or at least I thought it did. We didn't have kids. Tried a couple times. Miscarriages, 2 of them, hit us like bricks. After the second, Naomi changed. Her laugh got quieter. Her eyes a little colder. She started staying up late to finish payroll for her clients, and she started locking her phone. I didn't ask questions. I figured maybe grief changes people. I buried myself in my work. Last year, I got an opportunity one couldn't say no to. 6-month rotation in Abu Dhabi, building out energy infrastructure. Triple pay. Naomi said it was a no-brainer. Think of the retirement savings, she said. Think of the travel. The future. I left, proud and hopeful. 3 months in, I started noticing weird credit card charges. A hotel in Clearwater. A luxury steakhouse in Sarasota. Naomi hated steak. I texted her casually, "Hey babe, what's this Ritz-Carlton bill?" She replied in seconds, "Client meeting." You know how demanding the Hendersons are. The Hendersons own a local tire shop. They don't host meetings at 5-star hotels. But I let it go. Then came the moment I couldn't ignore. A receipt I found in her purse when I came home for a short break between rotations. Dinner for 2. Antonio's Bistro. Last Tuesday. Problem was, I was home last Tuesday. We ate pizza together, in front of the TV. I remember the pepperoni grease on the napkin she tossed onto the coffee table. So who was she with? I didn't say anything then. I tucked the receipt back, smiled like I didn't know, and waited for my next trip. That's when I called my cousin Tara, who works fraud prevention at Waverly Federal. Asked her to quietly set up account monitoring, just in case. I didn't know what I was preparing for. But deep down, something in me knew Naomi wasn't just managing our money anymore. She was managing something else. Someone else. The first notification came 3 days after I landed back in Abu Dhabi. Tara had set the alert threshold at $500. At 2:12 a.m. Florida time, Naomi withdrew $800 from an ATM downtown. She had never been downtown at night in her life. By the end of the week, 3 more withdrawals hit, $600 in Sarasota, $1,200 in Miami, and $1,500 wired to an account I'd never seen before. Every transaction chipped away at the illusion of the life I thought we had. I sat on a stack of concrete pallets during my break that Friday, sweat soaked through my shirt from the 115-degree heat. My crew was joking in 3 different languages nearby, and I was scrolling through digital evidence of a betrayal I couldn't yet name. And then, as if the universe couldn't wait any longer to punch me in the gut, it happened. A text message from Naomi. No greeting. No warmth. Just 5 lines. Jordan. I found my soulmate. I'm moving to Fort Lauderdale with him. I've emptied the accounts. Don't call. This is for the best. I read it once. Twice. And then I whispered aloud, like a fool, what? No rage. No screaming. No phone throwing. Just silence. It was the silence that scared me. 12 years of marriage. Gone. Vanished in a 15-second text. She didn't even have the decency to call. No confrontation. No explanation. Just a digital goodbye and a bank robbery to match. I stared at her words while men around me sweated through their 12-hour shifts, trying to provide for families they hadn't seen in a year. I thought about all the nights I'd called Naomi from hotel rooms, whispering, "I miss you," into the time difference. All the overtime. All the dreams of buying lake property and retiring early. And now, a soulmate? Who was he? Some tech bro? A yoga instructor? A barista with a man bun? My blood boiled, but still, no rage. Just grief. Heavy and slow. That night, I called Tara. Her voice was calm, clinical, professional. "Jordan," she tried to pull $143,000 today. "Full sweep of your savings, checking, and investment accounts. Everything's locked now." Nothing went through. I closed my eyes. "You're sure?" "I'm positive. Remember the dual auth protection we set up? She'd need your verbal okay for anything above $500. She doesn't have it." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. She tried to rob me. Not just emotionally, but literally. And failed. But the ache in my chest didn't go away. She was gone. The woman who once made me laugh when I had nothing left at the end of a workday, just threw me away like I was a pair of used gloves. And it wasn't just her betrayal. It was mine, too. I'd ignored the signs. The late-night texts. The weird trips. The locked phone. Her eyes that didn't light up anymore. I let it slide because I thought that's what love meant, sticking it out. Fixing it. I didn't realize I was patching cracks in a dam she'd already decided to blow up. By the time my shift ended that night, I stood at the edge of our construction site, looking out at the half-finished buildings rising from the desert sand. That's when it hit me. She never loved the life we built. She just loved what I could provide. And now she thought she found better. But she didn't know who she was playing with. She didn't know I had the receipts. She didn't know Tara was watching. And she sure as hell didn't know, I wasn't going to crawl away from this. I was going to build something else. Something harder. Sharper. Colder. Revenge. The first time Naomi called after the text, it was 3:08 a.m. Abu Dhabi time. I let it ring. The second time, I watched it buzz silently on the dusty table next to my cot in the dorms. On the fourth try, I picked up. "Jordan," she breathed. Her voice sounded small. Broken. "Something's wrong with the accounts. The bank says everything's frozen." I sat up in bed, my muscles stiff from another 14-hour shift, and looked out the dorm window. The desert slept, but her lies were wide awake. "There's suspicious activity," I said. "They flagged it. You need to fix this," she said, her voice trembling. "Kyle and I." "Kyle?" I cut her off. "So that's his name." There was a pause. We've been talking for a while. It just happened, Jordan." "No," I said, flatly. "This kind of betrayal doesn't just happen." Naomi scrambled. "Look, we found a place in Fort Lauderdale. It's got a view of the water, a balcony, a gym. But when Kyle tried to put the deposit down, the transfer didn't go through. We need access, just my half. Please." I stood and stepped into the corridor. It was still hot, even at 3 a.m. I leaned against the concrete wall. "You don't have a half," I said. "You tried to take all of it, $143,000, Naomi. That's not an accident. That's a getaway." She started crying. "I made a mistake. Kyle, he's not what I thought. When the money didn't go through, he changed. He took my jewelry. My cash. He said he needed space. He's gone." I wasn't surprised. But that's when Tara dropped the real bomb. Later that day, on our regular update call, her voice had a tone I'd never heard before, part curiosity, part disgust. "Jordan, I did some digging." "On Kyle?" "Yeah. Kyle Rafferty. Real piece of work. He's been married twice. Both ex-wives filed restraining orders after he drained their accounts and disappeared." I sat up straighter. "Are you serious?" "Dead. First wife said he convinced her to cash out her retirement to fund his coaching business. Second wife said he sold her jewelry to buy a boat, and then vanished with both. He's also got $12,000 in unpaid child support and is being sued by his landlord. Naomi hadn't just left me for a guy with a spiritual connection. She left me for a professional con artist. Is there any chance she didn't know?" Tara didn't hesitate. "She's too smart with numbers. She's the one who used to run background checks on the painters we hired. She either knew, or didn't want to know." The irony burned. She thought I was just a dumb blue-collar guy swinging a hammer while she schemed behind a screen. But I'd spent years reading blueprints, budgeting materials down to the last nail. I knew how to build. And now, I knew how to break. By the end of that day, Naomi sent another message. "Kyle took everything. I'm stranded in Fort Lauderdale. I have nothing. Please, Jordan. Help me." I showed the message to my site supervisor. He chuckled, sipping his bitter black coffee. "Your wife?" he asked. "Ex-wife," I corrected, staring out over the rising steel beams of the future I was still building. "She took your money?" "She tried." "She come back?" "No," I said. "Not this time." He grunted. Smart man. But I wasn't done yet. Naomi had tried to burn my life down. Now I was going to salt the earth. No dramatic outbursts. No screaming phone calls. Just quiet, surgical precision. One legal document at a time. Because now I had something stronger than rage. I had proof. And with that, I could bring the whole thing crashing down. The morning after Kyle bailed and Naomi begged for help, I sat in the construction site cafeteria pushing scrambled eggs around a paper tray. They looked like the concrete mix we poured every day, lumpy, dry, and impossible to fix once cracked. That's when Tara called again. "She's been busy," she said without even saying hello. 3 banks yesterday. Tried to bypass the freeze. Then she called our main branch claiming you were financially abusing her." I almost laughed. "Is that what she's going with now?" "Yup. Played the victim card. Said you were controlling and vindictive. Threatened to report us to the FTC." I stirred the eggs. Around me, laborers from Pakistan and India were loading rebar, quietly planning how to send 90% of their wages back to families. Real loyalty. Real sacrifice. Not whatever Naomi and her spiritual soulmate thought they had. Tara continued. I also dug deeper on Kyle Rafferty. My interest perked. He's not just a scammer. He's practiced. Polished. There's even a Reddit thread warning women in South Florida about him. Uses the same lines every time: authentic connection, emotional rebirth, shared vibrations. It's like a script. I leaned back. Naomi fell for that? She didn't just fall, Tara said. She jumped. Now, most people would have used this moment to feel smug. But me? I was already thinking 5 moves ahead. That afternoon, I made a call to my lawyer, Marcus Benton, back in Tampa. I want to file, I said. For divorce. No. For war. He chuckled. All right then. I'll start gathering financial documents. But I'll need proof of misconduct, cheating, fraud, attempted theft. You'll have all of it, I promised. And more. Because here's what Naomi didn't realize. She didn't just try to cheat on a husband. She tried to rob someone who builds foundations for a living. Someone who documents everything. For the next 5 weeks, I kept a journal. Not for emotions, I wasn't interested in therapy. I logged facts. Calls. Texts. Dates. Every lie. Every transfer attempt. Every voicemail where she begged, manipulated, or threatened. Meanwhile, Marcus filed motions to preserve all marital assets pending divorce. He subpoenaed Naomi's credit card records, phone logs, and banking history going back a year. Tara prepared every account freeze affidavit with digital time stamps. Everywhere Naomi turned, she hit a wall. She tried to call my cousin. Tara ignored her. She tried to charm a junior banker at Waverly. He referred her to legal. She even called my mother. That one almost made me lose my composure. "Your wife just called me crying," my mother said one morning, her voice equal parts concern and fury. "Said you froze her accounts while she was trying to heal." Jordan, what the hell happened? "She cheated on me for 6 months with a broke con artist and tried to take everything we had. That's what happened." Silence. Then my mom said quietly, "So, what are you going to do?" I answered honestly. "Finish my contract. Come home. And dismantle her future one asset at a time." When Naomi realized nothing was moving in her favor, she tried the last weapon she had. Guilt. "Jordan, I made a mistake. Please, we can fix this. It didn't mean anything. He used me." And then, the line that almost made me snap. "You were never around. What was I supposed to do? What were you supposed to do? Not cheat. Not lie. Not try to steal 6 figures and vanish." But the truth was, I didn't need her to confess. I just needed her to keep talking. Every desperate voicemail, every manipulative text, that was ammunition. It painted a perfect picture of her panic, her recklessness, her deceit. My lawyer said it best, "She doesn't know she's giving us rope. She just keeps tying the noose tighter." When I told Marcus I'd be back in the States in 3 weeks, he said, "Good. We'll file the divorce the day you land. But first, one visit." To Naomi? No. To her sister. Her sister Jennifer had no idea what was coming. And neither did Naomi. Because I wasn't just ending a marriage. I was about to collapse a whole illusion. And when the dust settled, I'd still be standing. She wouldn't. My plane touched down at Tampa International just after 9 a.m. The jet lag hit like a freight train, but I didn't care. I'd spent 18 hours in the air reading over every line of paperwork Marcus had prepared. Divorce petition. Asset inventory. Financial affidavits. Call logs. Screenshots. Voicemails. The evidence binder was 2 inches thick, and it was beautiful. Marcus met me at baggage claim. Navy suit. No tie. Steady eyes. "You sure you're ready for this?" he asked, handing me a coffee. "I've been ready since she texted me about her soulmate," I said. "Let's go." By 2 p.m. that day, the divorce papers were filed. Naomi would be served within 24 hours. But first, I had one stop to make. Jennifer's house. She was Naomi's older sister, the one who had helped her book a flight home after Kyle stole her jewelry and skipped town. The one who still believed Naomi was a misunderstood romantic. I knocked on the door. Jennifer answered, looking uneasy. "Jordan. You're back. Is Naomi here?" "Yes, but maybe you two should speak through attorneys." I gave her a tight smile. "This won't take long." Naomi stepped into view, barefoot in the same blue robe she'd worn the morning I questioned the Ritz-Carlton charges. She looked older. Drained. Her eyes flicked between me and the manila envelope in my hand. Jordan, she said softly. I handed her the envelope. Divorce papers. You've got 20 days to respond. The accounts stay frozen until the hearing. Her hands shook. Can we please talk, she whispered. I made a mistake. Kyle wasn't who I thought he was. He's gone. He took everything. You mean the things you didn't try to steal from me? I said. The accounts unfreeze tomorrow. You'll get your half of the joint checking. That's around $4,000. She froze. What about the rest? The investments? The retirement? I shrugged. Tied up in litigation. All of it. You'll get what the judge thinks you deserve. Her face turned pale. We had over $100,000, Jordan. That was our future. No, I said, meeting her eyes. That was my future. You gave yours to a fraud with a gym membership and a dreamcatcher tattoo. She burst into tears. Real ones this time. But I didn't flinch. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Yeah, I said. You did. You just didn't think I'd catch you. I walked away. Jennifer didn't stop me. That night, Naomi called me again. I let it go to voicemail. I never wanted to lose everything. I was lonely. You were gone. I was hurting. She didn't sound like someone who was hurting. She sounded like someone who had bet big, and lost. 2 days later, I sat with Marcus in his office. He smirked, handing me a stack of Naomi's phone records. She tried to scrub texts to Kyle, but we subpoenaed the provider. These confirmed the affair, and the timeline. Any surprises? I asked. Oh yeah. She'd been planning this since before your second trip. She even looked up apartments in Miami while you were home watching Netflix with her. Cold-blooded. We filed for asset preservation and emergency spousal protections. Florida's a no-fault state, but infidelity and financial misconduct still impact asset division. And Naomi? She'd given us all the ammo. Meanwhile, her attorney tried to play hardball, threatening to sue for emotional distress and claiming I'd frozen her out unfairly. Until we dropped the binder. 1 week later, her lawyer backed off. She's lucky we're not suing her, Marcus said. The judge will see through this. All of it. And just like that, the power shifted. Naomi went from confident manipulator to cornered mouse. And I was just getting started. By the time our court date approached, Naomi was unraveling. Tara forwarded me a flagged alert. Naomi had tried accessing our accounts again, this time from an iPad registered to Jennifer's Wi-Fi. She even tried to use a VPN to disguise the location. Desperate moves. She knew what was coming. What she didn't know, what no one knew except Marcus, Tara, and me, was that I had already transferred full control of our house and most major assets into a separate LLC I'd quietly created while overseas. I wasn't hiding assets. I was protecting them, legally, with ironclad paperwork Naomi herself had unknowingly signed off on years ago when I updated our estate planning documents. She never read the fine print. She just signed. Assuming I'd never be smart enough to use it against her. The judge reviewed all evidence, the text messages, the timeline of withdrawals, Tara's documentation, Kyle's criminal history, and the subpoenaed records showing Naomi's elaborate cover-up. Then came the final twist, my testimony. Calm. Unemotional. Just facts. I trusted my wife, I said to the court. I left the country to build our future while she built an exit plan. She had an affair. She tried to rob me. And when it didn't work, she came back not to reconcile, but to salvage what she could. Naomi's lawyer tried to interrupt, saying I was being vindictive. The judge raised a hand. Let him finish. I looked Naomi in the eye. You didn't just betray me. You underestimated me. And now, you're not getting away with either. The room went quiet. After a long pause, the judge nodded. Due to the overwhelming evidence of infidelity, financial misconduct, and attempted fraud, he said, this court finds in favor of the petitioner. The gavel struck. Naomi would receive $4,000 from our joint account. Nothing more. She kept her car, the clothes on her back, and a record that would follow her for the rest of her financial life. The house? Mine. The investments? Protected. The retirement savings? Intact. She looked at me like she didn't even recognize the man in front of her. Because I wasn't the man she tried to manipulate anymore. I was the man who had learned how to weaponize silence, facts, and time. After the ruling, she approached me in the hallway outside the courtroom, red-eyed and shaking. I never meant for it to end like this, she said. I thought Kyle was different. I thought. I held up a hand. You thought wrong. She hesitated. Do you think, maybe someday, we could be friends? I didn't answer. I walked past her. Out of the courthouse. And into the life she'd never be part of again. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I stood barefoot in the kitchen of my new place, a modest but modern house in Seminole Heights. Smaller than what Naomi and I had shared, but it was mine. Every wall, every tile, every beam, untouched by lies. The German Shepherd puppy at my feet, Sultan, barked for his breakfast. I smiled and poured kibble into his bowl, sunlight spilling through the windows. Peace had a sound. It was the soft shuffle of paws and the sizzle of eggs on a pan. Not screaming. Not gaslighting. Not silence packed with secrets. Naomi had moved to Jacksonville, really this time, and took a bookkeeping job at a local medical office. I heard from Jennifer that she was living in a rented apartment above a consignment store. Kyle Rafferty, of course, had ghosted her completely. Tara had done a little digging again, apparently, he'd moved on to a newly divorced real estate agent in Orlando. Same script, different victim. Some people never learn. Naomi tried to send me a handwritten letter 2 months ago. Something about healing. About wanting to one day laugh about all this. I burned it in the backyard fire pit. Not out of hate. But because ashes were all it ever deserved to be. Marcus and I remained in touch. He ended up referring me to Gravora Group, a renewable energy contractor out west. That's how I got my current job, building solar fields in Nevada. Clean work. Cleaner people. And a 90-minute flight home if I ever need to return. Tara and I now have dinner every month. I bring Sultan. She brings receipts on whoever she's investigating that week. We don't talk much about Naomi anymore. She's just a name filed under cautionary tale. As for me, I've started learning to cook. Real meals. From scratch. I'm not great at it yet, but I follow the instructions: measure twice, cut once. Construction taught me something a long time ago: if your foundation is weak, no structure will stand. It's true for buildings. It's true for love. And it's especially true for trust. Naomi didn't just lose a husband. She lost someone who would have built a life with her, brick by brick, even through storms. She traded all of that for a fantasy, and got stranded in reality. The old me might have tried to fix it. The new me? He builds higher. Stronger. Smarter. And he never forgets the cracks in the wall. In the end, truth has a way of surfacing, even if it comes twisted through pain and betrayal. As one wise voice once said, sometimes your greatest enemy was once your closest ally. If this story struck a chord with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and spread the word, because justice deserves to be heard.